So now let's talk about the real case that might have inspired the series The Glory, right? So back in 2006, there was this one girl named Chong, and she was brought to the hospital, and she had so many injuries, and the injuries were so bad that even the police were alarmed. They were called, and her parents and the police, the nurses, all are trying to persuade her and asking, "What happened to you? Who did this to you? Just tell us." And that girl must have been in so much pain. And the doctor, the nurses, of course, the parents, they are crying and they are like, "My daughter is in so much pain," but she is not crying. She's not crying. She's not. It's like she does not even feel the pain. But of course, she did. But her mental state is so messed up that she does not. I don't think that she was just like, she was scared. Instead of being hurt by all those wounds, she was scared. So imagine the trauma that you are brought into ER. And you are scared. You're not crying because you are in pain. You're begging your parents. She was constantly begging her parents, "Please transfer me to some other school. I don't want to study here." And she just constantly kept on begging. But her parents were like, "What happened? Please tell us. We cannot see you like this." And the nurses were also persuading her. So after some time, she was like, "Okay, fine. I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happened." So this girl, Chong, she was very calm sort of person. This victim 2, let's call her victim 2 for the ease. She was an introvert. She was chill kind of person. She just kept her to herself, and she didn't have any friends. But every now and then, she's not a bad person. So one night actually, she was coming back to her house, and she was on the subway, on the station actually. And she was listening to the music, earphones in, and she's just looking at the ground and walking, and she's just in her own world. And then all of a sudden, these 3 girls come and they block her way. And then she looks up and she's scared, because those 3 girls are infamous for being bullies. They are known as bullies, right? So then this girl, the victim 2, is just thinking that, what happened? What did I do wrong? Why are they in my way? I did not do anything. What happened? But of course, she does not raise her concern. She cannot say that because she's very scared. She cannot say anything. She's very scared. And then these 3 girls, they ask her a question, something they ask her. But the student number 2 was so scared. She was, she didn't respond for some time. And then one bully just smacked her, just a slap. And they're like, why didn't you respond? But I think anyone would be in her place would react that way, because especially when she was an introvert, if someone comes to you all of a sudden and asks you something, you get startled, you're like, what? And on top of that, she was scared of those people. So that was her only mistake, that she did not respond fast enough. But even if she did, I think they would still bully her, because then they would find some other way. They would not like her response. They would say, "Yeah, you should not have responded this way." So that was irrespective of what she did, she was going to be their next target. So from then on, they hit her, they punched her, they kicked her. But then they were like, yeah, they also asked for an allowance. First they asked, give us $10, $20, stuff like that. Then her allowance was completely gone, and then she was like, what? Ask your parents for more money. She tried to explain that we do not have that much money. I'm sorry, I cannot give you, I cannot ask my parents. Even if I did, they would not give me more money. We are not that rich. But these 3 people, they were like, we are going to teach you a lesson. You tried to you didn't listen to us, now we're gonna teach you a lesson. So they took her to a place, and it just breaks my heart to think. When I saw that, I cried so much, and it just breaks my heart to think that then they took her to a place, and 2 girls, they held her, and the 3rd girl, the bully, so she took a curling iron, you curl your hair with it, so it is very hot. So they started burning her skin. Just imagine. They were burning her skin at many places. They burned her, and they said that we are checking if the temperature of this curling iron is hot enough for our hair. So, and they were laughing at her, and all of that. And it breaks my heart so much to know that how can someone do that to someone? And they were like, if you make a noise, if you say anything, we'll kill you. Do not scream, do not cry. And they were laughing at her, and they were, making jokes. And her skin, her skin was burning. It was so bad. Then, from then on, the hell began, And then they left her, of course. And then she went home. The next day, they were like, show us your scar, or like the wound, right? She showed them, and they laughed at it, and they used to hit her with baseball bat. Just imagine hitting someone with baseball bat. I mean, yeah. Then after some time, when the scab starts forming, when you have a wound, a scab starts forming, right? So when a scab used to form, they used to rip it off. Just imagine that. Oh my god, I cannot really imagine the pain that she must be in. And then sometime, to traumatize her even more, they forced her that you remove that scab. Just imagine, how can a person be so cruel? And this is all happening, and this whole torture from the day that they met her on the subway, this whole torture began for 20 days. Then she's brought to the hospital when this stops. And then people, her parents and the nurses and all, they feel like she's holding back. There's more to the story. So they persuade her even more. They're like, you know what? You are at a safe place. Those girls are not coming to you anymore. We'll protect you. Nothing's gonna happen to you. Please tell us. Please tell us. Then she showed them her breast, and it was disfigured. It was like someone, oh god, I don't know how can someone do this. I genuinely don't know. So they took a pin and they put it in her flesh, and they just scratched it, and not like a minor scratch, like deep in her skin. And they did not do it once, because there were many scratches on her breast, and some were, some had scab over them, some were new, some were blue, so it means it was not done on the same day. Over the period of time, they did it. And the father, he sent those pictures to the reporter, because they wanted justice for their daughter, right? So they of course, they sent those pictures to the reporter, and they said that, look, this is what has happened to my daughter, please help us. And the father then told the reporters that, I remember, he was a chef, so when he came back to their home after the work, after his shift, he used to, since last 20 days, her daughter was having these nightmares. She would just start screaming in the middle of the night. So when this happened the first time, next day he asked her, what happened? Why were you screaming? And she told them, oh, nothing, it was just a nightmare. But I think they failed as parents. But they were of course regretting that. He was regretting. He said that I should have asked her why she was having those nightmares, because she would have those nightmares every single day. Every single day she had those nightmares. So as a parent, like if they were my parents, if I screamed in the middle of the night, they would not wait for the next day. They would come right then and there, and they would wake me up, and they would ask me, what happened? I don't know how the parents can ignore and wait for the next day to ask, and then not be worried. I mean, how busy are you that you don't care about your child to that extent, you neglect them to that extent? But yeah. And then he also said that my daughter was asking me to transfer her to another school, but I ignored that and said that I thought that she was just saying this because maybe her friend moved to a different place or different school, that's why she wants to go there. Or maybe the kid makes like she's not doing so well, it is difficult here, so that is why she wants to go to. So she, she's just making excuses. That's how kids are. But you are a bad parent if you don't even know that your child does not have close friend. If you don't even know that, you are a bad parent. If my parents were, they would try to get to the bottom of it. They would ask me so many questions, and they would be like, and they would try to do something about it. I don't know how. It's just so sad, because if they had listened to her, she might have told them, and this might have ended earlier. She might not have been burned. But no, they did not. They did not. But now, of course, the father was crying. He was regretting. He was like, I should have listened to her. So then they asked her the name. Like, please tell us the name. Who did this to you? Please tell us. And then she was very scared. They could tell that she was scared, but they persuaded her. So she gave 3 names to them. And when the parents gave those 3 names to the teacher, to the administration of the school, they were like, this is not possible. Even the students, they thought this is not possible, because these 3 students, they're good students. They are not one of those students who would pretend to be good but are not. No, they were like genuinely nice people. They were good students. So no one believed her. And then they asked her again and again. Then she finally told them the truth. And she said that the bully forced me and they threatened me, and they said that you have to say these 3 names. So that's why I told their names. And yes, they are not the real culprit behind this. And the name of my 3 bullies are this. So when the police gave the name to the administration, they were like, you know what? Okay, we'll do an internal investigation on this. I mean, that is shady. Because the school should immediately be like, okay, fine, these 3 girls, okay, we are holding them responsible, or we are expelling them from school or something like that. But they were like, you know what? We are gonna conduct an internal investigation. I mean, that is most shady. And then they did some investigation. And then they gave the statement to the police and to everyone that we have conducted a thorough internal investigation, and we have come to the conclusion that what the victim is saying is not matching to the story of the 3 girls. I'm like, no shit, sir. Sherlock. I mean, has it ever matched? Will the culprit say, yeah, you know what, we did that. Now I've come to think of it, we actually did. No culprit is going to be like that. Of course, their story do not match. The culprits are lying. Of course, their story don't match. And then they were like, to us it has become a dead end. This case has become a dead end, and it has just become a case of they said this and she said that and she said that. I mean, what the fuck? And then they also said that there was this one incident where the student fell off her bike, and that did happen. Because other students did say, yeah, we saw that did happen. So they were like, you know what, some of our injuries could be because of that. How can someone burn their hand? How can they have injuries on their breast because they fell off a bike as in bicycle, cycle? How can that happen? It does not make any sense. They can have a little injury, something, but yeah, make it make sense, sir. Make it make sense. So the netizens, they were like, you know what, we are gonna take the matters in our own hand, and we are gonna bring justice, and we are gonna expose the bullies. So there were many citizens. Some people said, one people said that if this has happened in the army or on the street, the police would they just let it be, or would they investigate and punish the criminal? So why are they not punishing? So people speculated it must be because of the bribe, or it must be because the parents of the students are very influential, so they cannot do anything about it. So that citizens were very infuriated. They were like, why are you not doing anything? Then police were forced to act, because there's so much pressure on them. So even if of course they did not do the job for real, they just pretended, but they at least have to pretend now because there's so much pressure from the people. So they arrested the main culprit, the main bully, who was Kim. Her name was Kim, and they arrested her and they asked her, why did you do that? Like, what happened? So she said that she made me a promise and she did not keep her promise. So we need to teach her a lesson. So we did all that, and she did agree to she did confess. She said that, yeah, I burnt her 9 times, and I hit on her head a couple of times, and I hit on her legs and arms and legs 7 times. And yeah, we punched her, we kicked her, and all of that. Yes, we did all of that. And she confessed. Again, she confessed not because she was sorry, but because judges in Korea will be easy on you if you confess. It is such a broken system. So then the police arrested her, which is very rare to happen to someone who is 13 years old, because that does not happen in South Korea, because I told you the laws are very broken there, and if you are under 14 you cannot be charged as the same way as the adults do, and even if you commit a rape or you actually can kill someone and still not be seen as, you know, a real criminal, and all of that. Like, if you commit a crime, it stays on your record, right? But if you are under 14, that does not stay on your record. No one will know about it. So in future you can be a police officer even. If you killed someone when you were 10 and you grow up and you can be a police officer, you can be a detective, a judge, anything. Because that crime is not on your record. Because you were very young and you were not mature enough, but you did kill someone and you did hurt someone so badly. But yeah, that just does not make any sense. So Kim was arrested and it was a big surprise, you know. And then the judge was like, you know what, I'm gonna be a masiha and I'm gonna be so unbiased, and I wanna set an example that this is what will happen to you if you bully in South Korea. So he sentenced her, but the sentence was not known because she was a minor, you know. And then a teacher were also punished, but then again their punishment was not known. क्या हुआ था कि उनसे मतलब क्या हुआ था? Maybe they were suspended for a month, or like what was their punishment? So yeah, but then when Glory was released, it brought so much attention back to this case, you know, because the girl, imagine, she was brought to the hospital and for 2 months she was in extensive care. She was in the ER, and after those 2 months she was transferred to a psychiatric hospital because her mental health was so fucked up. So people were like, that was the situation of that girl. Now we want to know what happened to the bullies. Where are they? Are they remorseful for what they did? Are they sorry? What are they doing? Like, what are their profession? Like, we want to know what happened to them. So of course people, like, as a citizen, I cannot look into, you know, like, I cannot track someone down, but yeah, that has happened. But it was very difficult for people to know what happened to them, what was the sentence back then. But the big, you know, news network, they looked back into the case of 2006 and they saw that her sentence was probation. So if you don't know what probation is, it means you will be arrested, but by the end of the night you will be sent back to home. Bye bye. That was her punishment. And yeah, she was also punished with one more thing, that a police officer would every now and then stop at her doorstep and ask her, how are you doing? Do not commit any crime, huh? So that was what happened. So it is so stupid that that is so fake. But the judge was like, I'm gonna be unbiased and I'm gonna set an example. But all he gave was a police would stop by every now and then at her doorstep. That was a punishment. I mean, give that punishment to me, I don't care. I mean, what kind of punishment is that? So people were very furious. And you know what's even more disturbing about these bullies is that even if you do something very bad, like these girls, they did something so bad, but in future, because that does not stay on their record, so they can go into any profession. They can go into they can be a psychiatrist. They can help people with their mental health. Imagine someone fucking up someone's mental health and then being a how ironical is that? So people were like, you know, so the next case is exactly that, where the two bullies, one is a social worker and one is a nurse, and we're gonna be talking about what they did. But imagine, you disfigured someone, and then you're a nurse and one is a social worker. I mean, it is so ironical. It is like a tight slap on our faces to think that the system is so broken that such people can also go into such career, because there is no accountability of their actions. They do not have to take accountability, you know. So the student number 3, now she is very old, and not very old, but like she's older and she's 31 years old, and she did an interview. So in this interview she told that when she was in 7th class, imagine being in 7th grade, you're so young. So this is a straightener, right? So of course these plates are very hot when you turn them on, right? So they clamped her hand like this between it, and not just like, yeah, took it, no, for 5 whole minutes they did that. The interviewer asked how it all started. So then she told that, yeah, for one day I was just minding my own business, and these 2 girls came to me and they asked me for $1. So I was like, maybe they forgot the money and they wanted for lunch, so I gave them the money. Then they came the next day and they again asked for $1. So I was like, you know what, maybe they don't have money and they're hungry, and so I gave them the other $1. So then the 3rd day they came, they were demanding the money. She was like, I'm confused. Why do I have to give you guys money? I already gave you $2 and you have not returned that to me. So why do I have to give you more money? I mean, why do I owe you? So they were like, your existence is an inconvenience to us. So you have to give us money for that. So, you know, she was like, what is this? I mean, if someone said that to me, I was like, fuck off. I mean, what the hell, right? So, but yeah, then they hit her and all, you know, they punched her, they kicked her, they bullied her, right? So then they started asking for $3, $4. Then after a time her allowance ran out, right? Of course, you don't have infinite money. So then they were like, yeah, now we're gonna bully you even more. So then they asked her to come at her home, bully 1's house, right? So bully A, let's call her bully A. So they asked her to come at her house, and you know, these 2 girls, the bullies, they were in their room and they were just chilling on their bed, they were laughing, they were having a good time. And then that girl was sitting on the floor at the corner of the room. And you know, during that time, if there ever came a disagreement, you know, or they slightly felt irritated, they would go to that girl and they would use her as a punching bag, and they would hit her all they wanted. So the interviewer was confused. They were like, why did you go to her place then? Because it was not like they were dragging you all the way there, because if that happened, people would have noticed. So that could not have happened. So why did you go to their place? So then she was like, they knew where I lived, and also they knew my brother, so they threatened me that if I did not come, they would abuse my brother instead of in my place. So she was very scared, because of course you don't want your younger brother or anyone in your family, or like anyone, if you are a human being, you would not want someone to go through all of that, right? So of course that's why she went. So then the abuse, it became even more bad, you know. Not just that, they started stabbing her with fork all over her body, you know. They would just take the fork and stab her, you know, all over the body. So people asked, the interviewer, she asked, why didn't you leave? So she was like, one time I refused to come to their home and they ransacked through my house, you know, all the furniture, it was, you know, they just trashed my house, because they knew where I lived, so there was no point in running. So I went to their place, and the abuse, it just kept on increasing. They started throwing things at me. There was this one time when they threw a plastic pipe at me, and it hit her eye, and her cornea was damaged, and she has eyesight problems to this day, to vision problems, because her cornea was damaged permanently, you know, so she cannot see clearly. So then they were like, the interviewer was like, do their parents not know about all that? Don't they notice? So then she told both of them were working, so they were not at the home when all that happened. And the bully one, whose house it was, she lied to her parents. She said, you know what, ma, this girl is very abused in her home, and she's very suicidal. Her mom is very abusive, and she was thinking of committing, and yeah, so can she please stay over at our place? So her mother is like, wow, my daughter is so good, she's doing so it was not her parents' fault, because they didn't know. They thought that my daughter is doing a good thing, and because she said that her mother is abusive, so if she had any scars or anything, that would explain that her mother is abusive, so that's why she has those scars, right? So she lied to her parents. And student number 4, she told that even to this day I cannot wear short sleeves, because when I look myself in the mirror and I see those scars, I start crying, because it is still so traumatizing for me. And some days when I try to be strong and I'm like, no, I'll not let all of that affect me, and it's all in the past, I'm gonna be strong, I'm gonna move on, and those scars that scar is still there. And when I go out and my parents see that, they start crying, they blame themselves for it, and I don't want anyone to be unhappy because of me, and it just broke my heart so much. When I saw that interview, I cried so much because it was so heartbreaking to see that, you know. So she said, I will never wear short sleeves. And she also said that every time I go to a salon, I get very scared, and I tell the hairdresser not to use any heat equipment, like hair straightener or curling iron near me, because I get so scared, because I get so traumatized by that when I see all of that. So then they were like, did the bully was punished? How, like, if you were not going to speak up for yourself, how did they come to know that, yeah, you were being bullied? So then she said that because she was burnt, so after some time there was a bulge under her shirt, and it was pus filled because there was no treatment given to it. So the teacher, he noticed, and he took her to the examination room, and there they had to cut her shirt off because it was just stuck to the wound because of the pus. It was stuck to the wound. So and then she told everything to the teacher. That's how they got to know. But what is funny is that the bully, she only got 40 hours community service. Not even jail, probation, nothing. Just 40 hours community service. And bully number 2 was not even acquitted. She was not even seen as a criminal because she was under 13 years old. So yeah. And I think this video is very long, so we're gonna end it, and I'm gonna make a part 2 of it to cover the rest of the cases. Okay, so till then, bye.